So it's about 6:30 a.m. I'm now leaving South Florida and I'm heading up to Orlando. I should be there around 12-ish. Mike from Everoak Farm in Orlando, I met him at a Centropics Agroforestry workshop with Thiago Barbosa a couple months ago, and we had a good conversation. We had a meal, and he gave me a lot of good information on setting up my crop plan for the season, on resources I should take advantage of when starting my own market garden. And we also connected over our mutual interest to take the agroforestry concepts that Thiago is teaching us and applying it to a market garden or horticulture application. And that is a good start in the right direction for me to make the garden, my farm, utilize many different principles besides just doing things organically. So Centropics, I really believe, has a high potential to be a massive growth factor in how I produce food, while also keeping my expenses low, healing the earth, and just making the farm better over time. And I'm really eager to see exactly what Mike has over there at his farm. I'm eager to see his family, to help out for the weekend and just put in a lot of good work. I think he has a dinner on Tuesday that we're going to be experiencing, or he's going to be sharing with his CSA subscribers all of his local food. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it all. So we got the camping essentials here. I'm gonna go in there and see what we're working with. Let's go. Not bad. So this whole area is my little campground for the next 5 days. You know, like I think especially when you're on someone else's land, they may not have all the accommodations for you to stay in like a room. So being able to just like live like this for a couple of days, I don't know, I haven't thought about this before. You know, being able to like learn from another farmer, touch another, piece of land. They say that like when you look at something, you kind of get desensitized by being exposed to it. And I can relate to that by like being on my property and not really appreciating all of the elements of it. So being on someone else's property, it's kind of like a vacation away from my spot, even though it's still on brand with like what I'm trying to do and always trying to become better by learning from other people and other farms. So I think that's it. Pretty straightforward. Didn't take me more than like 10 minutes. I'm gonna set up my bags in here, or at least the things I want to have like right next to me, like clothes and stuff, and then take a tour, an informal tour of the farm and just see what I can see, and then make a little shot list and also take notes. I'm sure that like just based off of intuition and what I learned from Thiago and what Thiago was teaching me from his mentorship program, it'd be amazing to see this in action, just see if I can like figure out how things work before Mike explains it. So by the time I touched down at Everoak Farm, Mike was already in work mode and getting the farm dinner off the ground. Him and his team are very motivated, very driven in order to provide the best experience for his CSA members. So shout out to him. I offered to help move some chairs, and that was quite an adventure. I got to meet the landowner. I saw the whole operation. Everoak sits on 2.5 to 3 acres. It's a very, very productive market garden operation, very similar to what I've been learning in terms of the principles taught by Fortier and the Market Gardener, as well as a new book that Mike put me onto called The Urban Farmer by Curtis Stone. I see a lot of similarities in different market garden farms I've seen before, seen here, which includes a lot of rotational, highly efficient, highly productive market garden beds, annuals such as radishes, such as lettuces, turned over on rotation, utilizing a very efficient crop plan. But the one difference that I can also appreciate is the integration of the agroforestry principles that we were taught by Thiago, and that I very clearly see demonstrated here. What I notice in typical market garden farms is that they're all usually implementing one dimension, typically. But what I like about Mike's farm is that he utilizes the different types of strata that is encouraged in the workshop that we both attended. So by doing so, we take advantage of different microclimates. We take advantage of different heights, different dimensions of the farm. We're not just working very low to the ground in terms of high production, high profit lettuces and bringing that to market. We're also taking advantage of different types of crops that are produced throughout different times of the year, including bananas, including moringa, including cassava. So we're getting crops below ground, we're getting crops above ground, and all the while we're creating a barrier for the crops inside the market garden beds. And I think that that level of complexity, that level of syntropy is something that I would like to integrate into my farm. And I've seen it done before in Punta Garda at the workshop, but seeing it done in a market garden production at this level is very inspiring for me. And I can't wait to learn more from Mike, either in this trip or in the future. But the aspect of seeing and visualizing what can be done is a very inspiring first step for me in terms of disaggregating this problem, this project that I have in my mind, and just getting it into reality. So I'm very excited to learn more about Everoak Farms, and I'm very excited to see more about what Mike has to say about this production and what inspired him to do it this way. Hey guys, so now it is around 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. It's probably about 30 minutes before the farm dinner starts. And I've seen Mike and his family scramble around for the past day or two just getting this ready. But besides these couple hours, I mean, you can say that it's been months of preparation just getting this property ready and getting the food produced from this property ready. I'm very excited to enjoy and just be a part of this experience. I brought my camera, so I'll be shooting some content today as well. You know, the fruits of the labor speak for themselves. Like, it's really cool seeing how people are invested in local agriculture. Typically, when you sign up for your CSA, you definitely have a strong relationship with the farmer that is providing you food on a regular basis. And they say that the best way to have people come together is through food. So I'm going to be very excited to be a part of this experience, people to come together through this local, hyper delicious, hyper nutrient rich food presented by Mike at Everoak Farms.
Vegetables. We do pasture poultry, and we grow a variety of fruits and vegetables, as well as kids. We just had our third kid 3 weeks ago.
Guys, Dev here. I'm with Mike from Everoak Farms, really cool farm in Orlando. I have had the pleasure of staying here for the past couple of days, camping in the back, learning along with him, enjoying the vibes, enjoying the farm dinner that we just had yesterday. And Mike, I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about your project, what got you into farming and your career, and what do you look to do in the future?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, where to begin? It's been a long journey. My journey originally started back in culinary school, learning to cook, different cooking techniques, got introduced to a lot of different ingredients. And then from there, just started questioning like, okay, so how's this carrot grown? How's this tomato grown? And just started to put that to practice. Like, all right, let me see what it takes to grow a tomato. So I started backyard gardening in my house in downtown Orlando back in 2012. Started going through a little journey there. And started like questioning a lot of things, how our food system is, what goes into our food, how actually pretty centralized our whole entire food system is. And I wanted then to become more self-sufficient, provide clean food for myself and then eventually for my family, and then to extend that to my community members. So I started backyard gardening, meanwhile just cooking in kitchen, thriving to become a chef. And then eventually that passion from really cooking went towards growing. So around 2015, I dropped from my sous chef position and then started pursuing market gardening. Came across JM's book and I was like, oh man, this is possible.
Right.
And then started tinkering around and then came across the urban farming book and I'm like, oh, I could do this on leased land. So I actually started urban farming back in 2016 and partnered up with our good friends and our housemates at the time. And we had a huge permaculture food forest going on back there, but we were like, let's actually do a market garden and see if we can make a living out of this.
Right. So you're talking about permaculture, you're talking about your past flatmates.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, apart from just the food growing here, there's more than just food. There's people growing here. You got like kids running around.
Yep.
Like there's life and there's like family in here. And like there's certain elements about farming that I just never really appreciate because maybe that chapter of my life just hasn't started as a father, but like as an entrepreneur, as a farmer, you have the opportunity to make a living off of what you love to do, but also you have your family, your kids, you have something.
Which was very intentional on why that, because then I knew if I wanted to thrive as a chef, it was going to be a lot of night sacrifice and there's going to be a lot of things missed with my kids. So that's another intention of like why I didn't want to even continue pursuing a chef in a restaurant. I was like, I wanted more a wholesome, holistic lifestyle, provide an environment for my kids to explore and just know how their food is grown. People don't know how livestock is should be properly raised or how it's currently raised. And like we raise poultry here on the property, and people don't realize like the chicken that you get in the grocery store and the conditions that they're raised in is like horrific, and it has massive environmental effects. Cramming, like you don't want to cram people into a tight space, so you're always going to be sick. And that's the same thing what happens when you cram livestock in a tight space. They're always getting sick because they're in their unnatural environment. Versus us here at Everoak Farm, we raise poultry and integrate it with our garden and our orchard that we're constantly rotating them and putting them in the environment that they should be in right underneath the sun, access to fresh air, fresh grass, fresh bugs, grubs, like giving them the place that the chicken could fully express the chickenness, like that they could fully express themselves.
Yeah, and we got some rogues out here too. We got some chickens, fleeing the coop.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are going to taste the best. They
Yeah,
have the taste of freedom in them.
So I love also that connection too of having the livestock too, because the garden feeds the chicken and then eventually the chicken feeds us, and this symbiotic relationship and this connection of constant life and death. It's also when farming, and like for me, farming also goes down spiritually as well. And there's actually a lot of things that farming hits. It's a political thing, it's a spiritual thing, and and just being connected with that cycle of life and death. Like if you think about compost, it's death, but it's also life.
Right.
And it's this constant rotation of life and death, of this old decaying matter, of new organism feeding that, but then eventually those organisms are dying, which then also are bringing plants, or bringing nutrients providing viable nutrients to the next living thing. Same thing with poultry. It's that when I go and process chicken, it's the ultimate sacrifice. Like I'm gracefully taking this chicken's life to nourish myself and my community member. And then with their waste is also then going to feed, it's going to get compost, which then is also going to feed the plants too. Then eventually plants fruit, I harvest, and then they die, and then this constant, so it gets you really connected to the core of nature. That's also another reason why diving deep into farming is just, farming and growing in general. It's just that connection to like the actual core of like nature and the universe and all that. So,
and it comes full circle. Last night when you had your farm dinner, so you had 12 CSA subscribers. They've been actively invested in this project. You even took them to show the compost pile. So like you showed every aspect about what you're doing, and it kind of seemed to me, because I've been in rooms and situations where people talk about business plans, quarterly reports, and things like that.
Yeah.
It seemed like almost like a quarterly report, but on sustainability.
Yep.
This is how you got your food. This is what you're investing in.
Yeah.
It's that full transparency, and I believe that just adds to
Surely.
protection.
And that's one thing with this farm too, is always being fully transparent. I got nothing to hide. These are my practices. This is what I do. This is my rhyme and reason. And we're always ever changing and evolving, just like now adapting a lot of the syntropic agroforestry stuff into our system. If you came here last year, I didn't have a lot of these trees line sets.
Right.
This is something I started tinkering down a little bit over a year ago towards the back. And then I was like, you know what, let me fully take and integrate it into my full operation and make it a big part of my practice. So now still keeping some of my practices of how I always market garden, but also slowly integrating a lot of the syntropic and providing that environment. And also the more plants around it, the better. It's like, look how nice the scenery is getting. And come back here a year from now, it's gonna be totally different.
Yeah, I saw like, I think one of your daughters like just running around through the brush.
Yeah.
You know, there's multi-dimensions of life here. It's not just a flat, one-dimensional, like lettuces growing on the ground. And
Yeah.
the whole reason why I came here is because I wanted to see it actually applied side by side.
Yeah.
And that's how we met, through Syntropics Agroforestry. And I can't wait to see where you take this. While we wrap this up, what is this property in terms of space, how much space it is, and where are you located, and how can people support you?
Yeah. Well, I also want to take it back that I'm on leased land. And that's, I think, just talking to young farmers out there, like, just because you don't have land or don't own land, don't stop, like, look into leasing land. Like, you got to start somewhere. Like I said, our urban farm, we were on leased land, and we cultivated it. We got a lot out of it, but we got a taste of it. And I think the idea is like, even though you might not be here forever, you're probably going to leave that space a lot better than what it was before. And that's how I say this, because eventually I'll be moving out of here at some point, which is, people are like, man, how can you leave all this? And I'm like, you just got to keep rolling with the cycle. Everything's ever changing. At least I'm leaving it better than what it was before. So we're currently located in Orlando on a 3-acre parcel, just about 10 minutes from downtown Orlando. You can follow us on Instagram at Everoak Farm, or check our website at everoakfarm.com. We do a weekly farm stand, every Saturday until June, from 9 to 1. So you could always come out here, buy your lettuce, buy a chicken, grab a bottle of honey, check out what we got going on, and check out the chickens and whatnot. And we also do have people pop up here, so you can grab a little brunch as well. And yeah, that's essentially it. I don't know.
It's a full circle of life.
Yeah.
I love how open Mike has been. Like, the one thing that stood out to me is when I met Mike, we actually had a small drink together. He gave me so many resources and tools and education. And that really was like, I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever told you that. That really helped me out with my business. And I can't wait to help you out for the rest of the day and just get my hands dirty.
Totally.
So let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, bro.
All right, guys, so as you can see, I got splashed by some of the water back there. The sprinklers are running, the plants are getting fed, and it's been a very busy day here at Everoak Farms with Mike. Back-to-back work from sun up to sundown, true farming style. And we harvested daikon, we harvested radishes. I helped Mike also plant a 220-foot bed of transplanted kales. We also set up multiple beds with direct seeding using the Jang seeder that he has. He showed me a lot of cool tools that market gardeners typically use, and I've heard about them and read about them. Fortier's book, The Market Gardener, even The Urban Farmer by Curtis Stone, but actually applying it is something that I'm very interested in doing, and doing it without having to kill myself in terms of time and labor. So I think that using these tools and just having the hurdle of having to try things out by trial and error and getting that muscle memory in by actually using the tools I've been reading about is going to be very, very cool, very, very interesting to apply. I'm very, very grateful to be out here for the past couple days. It's been a lot of work, and I had to fit in my schedule because I knew how just a high priority it was to get this information as well as put this energy back into the farm. And I can say that I'm a little bit spent, but I also believe that the food that was grown in the farming dinner yesterday, I could see the energy and love that Mike puts into it. and it's represented in every square inch of this property, from the agroforestry to the lettuces. Everything is intentional, and even in the relationships that he's built with the CSA subscribers. So I'm just happy to be a part of that connectivity. So I am going to be heading down south today. It's Thursday, 5 p.m. and I have a couple projects in mind for my farm. The reason I'm heading down so early and not staying until Saturday is because I have to pick up a bobcat to rent, and we're going to be feeding the guavas finally the last of the mulch that we've been dumping there for the past couple of months. So I can't wait to show you guys that, and can't wait to show you guys a little bit of the syntropics that I hope to employ in my own. So until next time, guys, this is one of the first farm tours I've done. It's a very huge success. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, his family, for inviting me over. And thank you, Everoak Farms, for having me and just existing. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. This is Dev out. Peace.